Hey Waffle Gang, I do hope you are well. My name is Mark and today we're checking out some more Reddit stories. And if you do love a Reddit story, why not consider hitting that like, subscribe, maybe that notification bell too, and let's crack on with today's first story. Much love, guys. Now, today's first story comes from Running Wild 1989 from the marriage subreddit and said, revealed too much during a Bachelorette game. Do I tell hubby? I was at a Bachelorette party last weekend with 8 other women of varying ages, 30 to 50 bracket. Many glasses of wine and champagne were consumed. Silly games were played of the typical Bachelorette party kind. All of the women in attendance had partners. The rules of one game were that each woman would write down the size of their husband's penis on a piece of paper and put it into a vase. Totally anonymous, all in the name of a dirty game between friends. The aim was that the bride-to-be would pull out each piece of paper and reveal what each one said. None of us was supposed to react, but to try and deduce which one was hers. In hindsight, I realized I could and should have lied and written any number. Nobody would have known. I wrote 4. It was the only number smaller than 6 that was written, and when the bride-to-be revealed it, there were a couple of gasps followed by some drunken giggles that broke the silence. My face stayed frozen. Later, when talking about the game, a friend told me it was obviously my submission, as it was written all over my face. I'm mortified and guilt-ridden. I'm sure and hope the friends would have forgotten the game by now, but my mind isn't passing over the fact that these women know my husband. I'm in agony over whether to tell him what happened or just leave it. Look, as a Brit who's been on a few stag do's in my time, so I know there's some differences here, but my first thought wasn't about the number she wrote or anything like that. I was just like, why on earth are we playing this game in the first place? And like I said, I've been to stag do's and there's drinking, daft games, stupid stories that are told, etc. And of course, some absolutely terrible decisions. I've never once heard of a game like this where you're writing down your partner's genital sizes. It comes across as completely disrespectful. I couldn't imagine sitting around with my mates and, comparing their wives' bodies. It was just, no way. It just feels like some creepy shit. But a commenter says, take this one to the grave. Another one says, yeah, except all the husbands know now too. Shark Laser says, not the ones with wives who lied about the sizes they wrote down. Another one says, trust me, they know too. And one more commenter says, yeah, definitely don't tell him, but honestly, what a betrayal. I'd be mortified if my wife did that. Hopefully you as a couple don't know these people, because they're going to tell their husbands and it just takes one jerk to throw out a joke and there you go. Treat him better when he's not around. So the update came in 4 days later and it said, my last post was about revealing too much information during a Bachelorette party. Sensitive information about hubby naively given while under the influence during a party game. I sat my wonderful husband down 2 nights ago to inform him, perhaps against the better wishes of many who commented, but fear of him hearing it from one of our friends prompted me into action. His response was lighthearted. He chuckled. He asked me if I verbally confirmed that the 4 answer was my own, to which I said no. He shrugged it off and said, well, let people speculate then, and said if anybody was to pass comment to him, then he'd laugh it off and make a joke about me misunderstanding the rules of the game. He wasn't fazed by it. He made a joke to me. Well, at least you sized me up a little. Next time maybe add a couple of extra. His sense of humor remains intact, as does our marriage. The top commenter on this one says, I'm glad this turned out as it did. My buddy with a small penis also has a wonderful sense of humor. Another one says, I'm glad it's working out and that your husband seems to be a very secure guy. Chances are not every woman was honest and others upsized a bit, whether or not they realized they were doing it. It seems unlikely that every single woman there has a spouse who is at least a little larger than average, and those who were being honest were probably mostly just guessing, and to be honest, most women tend to guess a little high. Another one says, I wrote 4. It was the only number smaller than 6 that was written. Then says most were lying or using the metric system. Another one says, so glad it went well. Just shows that you understood your relationship better than we strangers. I was in camp, take it to the grave, but you knew your hubby. I mean, I found the whole thing bizarre, but I'm so glad that things did work out for OP in the end. The hubby seems like a pretty chill guy. And like that last commenter said, the majority of them will, take it to the grave. But OP did make a good point during their post that, if hubby was to find out another way, it could have went very badly, right? But what do you guys make of this situation? If you was in OP's position, what would you have done? Have you ever heard of games like this before, at bachelorettes, etc.? Educate me. And let's move on to another story. Now, our next story comes from the What Should I Do subreddit and says, my nephew, 15 male, asked if he can call me mum. Should I allow it? My two nephews were kicked out of their father's house last month, and I agreed to take them both in. They're 19 and 15. I'm their father's sister. Their mother hasn't been in the picture since the nephew in question, 15 years old, was 2 months old. I'm currently fostering the younger one and allowing the older one to stay with me, since he's an adult and I can't exactly be his legal guardian. Last night we both ended up having a very serious conversation. He's been having issues with his emotions lately, understandably so considering what's been going on. I tried my damn best not to cry when he told me how he felt and about what's been going on in his head for the last couple of weeks. Now, my and my brother's parents are from Europe, so while my bio son is still young, I decided to celebrate Mother's Day on the 26th of May, since that's when my mum celebrates it. After our conversation, my nephew asked me if it'd be okay if he called me mum, and told me he has a late Mother's Day gift for me, but wanted to check if I'd be fine with it. He said I can think about it and let him know, but I'm the closest that he's ever had to a mother, and he really wants me to have it. Now, this is where I don't know what to do. I'm not his mum, and I don't know if I should pose as one. He's 15, and even if he's known me his whole life, it's only been a few weeks since he moved in to live with me. I don't know if allowing him to call me mum won't have a bad impact on him in the long run, but I really want to say yes, because I love both of my nephews as if they were my own. In case it matters, the 15-year-old is the one who got the worst of towards the end of staying in his father's house. He got injured as a result of the boys' fight with their dad and seems to be the one struggling the most with the whole situation. Should I say yes to him calling me mum? I'd appreciate any advice or help with making this decision. Stories with the kids in, man, where they're going through, can't imagine what is going through his head, right? And personally, I get why OP's questioning, OP's concerned if it's the right thing to do, etc. But I'd let him call her mum if that's what he wants. Not because she's replacing his mother or pretending to be someone she's not, but because that word clearly means something important to him. Not a little kid who's confused about who his biological mother is. He's 15. He understands exactly what's happening. And what a considerate young man. The fact that he's asking first rather than just doing it says a lot. He's not trying to force anything onto her, he's checking if she's comfortable with it, and that seems like a super mature thing to do. Got me tearing up thinking about what he must be going through in his own head right now. A commenter says, let him call you what he's comfortable with. Saying no may be really hurtful for him. My mum hasn't been involved since he was an infant. You're the closest person to a mum in his life. I'm sure he just wants to feel like a normal kid. Opie says I will, thank you. I'm just so happy he feels this way with me. And it got me into an overthinking state for a while. They both deserve a mum to lean on. Commenter says, yes, it could literally be beneficial to them, and you should be honored. Opie says, I feel so honored, especially after such a short time of him living with me. I feel like hearing something like that from a teenager of all ages is something really special. Another one says, you're so loving and generous, and I'm sure these boys are desperate for that. I agree with the advice to let him call you what he wants. Also, is there any way you could see if he'd be open to therapy and a way to provide that? Blessings to you for all that you do. Opie says he's in therapy. We've got that covered, thank you so much. The therapy in general is one of those reasons why I posted in the first place, as I've been told by a psychologist that I should be wary in trying to replace his mother in any way, since he's a young man now and not exactly a child. But since it was his idea in the first place, I think most of it is just me overthinking, trying to abide by all the rules and be the best safe adult I can possibly be. One more says, how does your son feel about it? Opie says he's 6, so he has no objections. So Opie did come in with her update and says thank you all for answering and reassuring me. The answer was always yes. I was just overthinking the situation. I told him yes a few hours ago and got the biggest hug and a thank you. We talked some more and explained why I needed to think about it, as per your suggestion. As a result, he called me mum a few times throughout the evening and gave me the gift he got me. It's a silver necklace, dog tag designed since I'm ex-military, with his and his brother's names engraved on it along with the date I took them both in. I cried so hard. Don't you get me started. Redditors, I still can't sleep. Bloody hell, what a sweet kid. Oh, dearie me, those bloody onion ninjas around here. But, Apprehensive Wait says, did you see the update of what he got her? I'm sitting over here trying not to cry because it was so damn sweet. She definitely needs to give him a hug from his cousin and auntie. Opie says, hugs have been given to both boys, thank you so much. They're on here reading your comments. The 19-year-old said he didn't know Reddit could be this positive. Another commenter says, what an absolute honor. And from a 15-year-old boy who probably feels like his biological parents have failed him miserably. Say yes, it's clearly what he wants. Maybe it's to help him feel more normal amongst his peers, as well as how he truly feels about you. As promotions go, there's no pay rise, but you've got a job for life right there. I love that he feels so settled, accepted and loved. You're clearly the mum he needs. Out of interest, what does his brother think about it? Opie says his brother is actually the one who suggested I post on here. He won't call me mum, since we have a 9-year age difference, and I'm somewhat a mum, somewhat an older sister to him. He just calls me by my name, although he started jokingly calling me Mama name after he read comments on here and saw some people suggesting it. Oh, and that is an absolutely wonderful little story there, although those kids have gone for an absolute time, but I'm so glad they got such a good egg like OP with them. But what do you guys make of this situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below, and let's move on to another story. Now our next story comes from White Rose Black Heart, who says, my 22 female with my boyfriend 23 male of 1 year. He's mad at me for leaving his birthday party early. First post, apologies for any grammar or spelling issues, and sorry for the wall of text. My boyfriend and I have been dating for a little over a year. I'm an introvert with a lot of anxiety problems. I'm seeing a therapist and I'm on medications, but some social situations are really hard for me. My boyfriend is an extrovert and thrives on attention. So every now and then, an issue arises because of our differences. I never ask him to avoid a situation for me. If he wants to go hang out with his friends and I don't, I tell him, I'm not up for that today, but you should go see your friends. Then I usually get guilt-tripped into going. If I still refuse, he'll tell them that he's not coming because of me. It really makes me upset because I'm not keeping him from going. I love when he sees his friends. He comes back energized and in a really good mood, and usually it gives me a little space for me to recharge, so I have better energy as well. So anyway, his birthday was on Wednesday and his friend's Scott's birthday was on Friday, so they decided to set up a bar crawl with their friends for Saturday so they could celebrate together. I'm not big on the bar scene. Alcohol and food is so expensive. I don't dance, I don't like the noise or the crowd, and I have been under a lot of stress with work and school and was looking forward to the weekend to relax. I expressed this to him and told him I'd rather if we could celebrate on our own by going to dinner before he goes out with his friends. I told him I don't want him to worry about me while he's enjoying his friends, and that if I went, I know I wouldn't be the best company. He seemed bummed but said okay. Well, we went to dinner last night for his birthday, and during dinner he brings up that I don't know many of his friends and it's really important to him that I go and meet his friends because they give him a hard time for never bringing me around, and they keep telling him that I'm being controlling because he always misses things when I don't want to go. I explained that I don't intend for him to miss things and reminded him that I always tell him to go ahead and I've never asked him to stay home. I told him I'm an introvert and normally by the weekend I really need to change my batteries, and that I know because he's an extrovert he recharges by going out with people, and this way we would both get what we want. And I admitted that I felt bad not really knowing his friends, but that it'd be easier for me to meet 1 or 2 at a time in closer one-on-one scenarios than to meet 15 plus in a crowded bar. And I said maybe once I know them better, going out would be easier, but I don't really like going out anyway, let alone when I'm surrounded by strangers. Well, he says that his friends never just hang out in small groups or one-on-one, and that they only ever go out because what the fuck are they going to do sitting around the house together? He says I need to stop being such a baby about it and meet his friends because it's really unfair that he never gets to do anything anymore. I really wanted him to have a good birthday celebration. I took him to a really nice restaurant. I bought him a bunch of things he wanted, and I didn't want this argument to ruin his day. I agreed I would join him for the bar crawl if it was so important to him. So we get there, and he goes up and is talking to like 6 of his friends, whom I've never met, and it's like he forgot I was there completely. After about 10 minutes of being ignored, I had to go up and introduce myself to everyone. I come to find out there is no plan, and they don't even know that they want to start at this bar. They might walk somewhere else to start. Then his friend Neil, who I've met before, shows up, and I felt a little better. But it turns out Neil brought his underage 17 female girlfriend, who I haven't met before either, to a bar crawl, and they don't know what they're going to do with her. So Neil and boyfriend tell me and her can go to a restaurant and bond while they drink. I told boyfriend I was not comfortable with that, and I asked that he figure out what the plan is going to be. I'd already been standing outside for 45 minutes with me in super painful high heels. I was only planning on dinner, not schlepping from bar to bar. So he takes Neil and they go into the bar to find the rest of his friends and sort out a plan so both me and Neil's girlfriend could be involved. He was gone for another 30 minutes. I was about to go in after him when he comes out, and he tastes and smells like he's been drinking the whole time. They bought me shots. I couldn't say no. I asked what was going on, and he said he still doesn't know, but I should just go to the restaurant with Neil's girlfriend because they want to go to another bar in the area and go dancing, and he knows I don't want to dance. At this point, I'm an anxious wreck. I'm frustrated and confused and upset, and Neil's girlfriend is looking super slighted. I asked if she'd rather just get a ride home than go sit around waiting for them, and she said yes. I told Neil and boyfriend that we were going home, and they were both like, fine, bye, and went back in the bar. So I took Neil's girlfriend back to her house, and she thanked me and apologized. Apparently Neil had told her that they were doing a birthday dinner, not a bar crawl. I told her no worries and that I'm sorry that they were both being dicks. And I went home. I text boyfriend to let him know I was safe and asked him to text when he got home so I'd know he got home okay. Instead he texts me that I ruined his birthday party and he doesn't understand why I can't just have fun and go with the flow. I text back and said we'll talk about it after we both get some sleep, but now I don't even know what to say with him. I'm hurt and upset, and I don't know if I'm just in the wrong here or if he fucked up. I don't understand why he made such a big deal out of me coming if he's going to treat me like a third wheel, or why he'd try to get me to babysit his friend's girlfriend if he wanted me to stay and hang out. I half wonder if he just wanted a ride from me, and that's why he would have been fine with me waiting around in a restaurant till he was ready to go home. Now the birthday party here is almost besides the point, because the thing that jumped out to me was the actual manipulation around her not wanting to go out. She never stopped him seeing his friends. In fact, she actively encouraged it. She was saying she was happy to see him go out and recharge his batteries in the way that he wanted. Yet somehow every time she wanted a quiet night, he turned it into, I can't go because of you, and let his friends think that she was controlling. That's some bullshit right there. And when he had pressured her so much that she finally caved to going for his birthday, he abandoned her with a bunch of strangers, ignoring her, and then tries to dump a confused 17-year-old who I feel for this girl as well, so he can go drinking and then blames her for ruining the night. And it's really sad because OP spent a whole load of this post wondering if she did something wrong when hopefully we can all see it, that she bent over backwards. She was communicating her needs very openly. She compromised and still gets the blame at the end. But a commenter said to OP, your boyfriend is something of a dick. First he pushes you to attend an event he knows you probably won't enjoy. Then he wants you to babysit someone underage because they don't want to change the non-existent plans. Then he says you ruined his party. You could do better. Really. OP says I was going to try and defend him. He really is a great guy the rest of the time, it's just when it comes to outings that he gets like this. But the way you broke it down makes a lot of sense. He's coming over in a few hours to talk. I still don't know what to say, but I need to make it clear that this whole thing was seriously uncool. Commenter says in quotes, well, he says that his friends just hang out in small groups or one-on-one and they only ever go out because what the fuck are they going to do sitting around the house together? And says that is perhaps one of the most pathetic things I've heard a grown person say. If he cannot sustain friendships without frenzied activity, noise and liquor, I doubt he can sustain a more intimate relationship any better. Oh wait, no doubt he just proved he's not mature enough for an adult relationship. OP says, I'm thinking you might be right. He's a very black or white / all or nothing approach to life. Either everyone goes out or no one does. I've tried talking to him about it before, but he dismisses me and tells me he knows how things work, and I'm too naive. It's looking like he's the one being childish though. So OP does update the post and says, so boyfriend came over and we sort of talked. I say sort of because he had a major attitude the whole time and was really dismissive and generally crappy. We said hi and I thanked him for coming over and said that last night was really bothering me, and he said he was really annoyed and upset that I felt the need to leave his party instead of staying and celebrating when I had agreed to. So I said, I'm sorry you feel upset, but the original agreement was for us to have dinner together and you spent the time with your friends after. I wasn't comfortable going in the first place, and then when we got there you didn't introduce me to anyone and spent an hour ignoring me to talk to everyone else and do shots, while I waited with Neil's girlfriend outside for you to figure out a plan that could include her. You and Neil expected me to babysit his girlfriend once you realized she wouldn't be able to get in any of the bars. I don't know why he brought her, but it was tactless. And then it was even worse that you both wanted me to go and sit in a restaurant for however long to keep her out of the way. How can I celebrate your birthday with you if I'm watching a 17-year-old somewhere other than where you are? He said I did fine introducing myself to people, and then he just got excited to see his friends and forgot about me, but that I don't need him right there next to me to have a conversation with people. That the plan was for him and Neil to join us at the restaurant after an hour or so, which he never said and still isn't cool in my opinion. And yeah, absolute bullshit as well, I might add. I reminded him that everyone went inside and he and Neil left me and Neil's girlfriend outside together, so how could I have talked to anyone anyway? He said I could have come inside and that Neil's girlfriend would have been fine being outside alone. I told him that was a really poor and unfair way to treat her and that she deserved better, and then went off on me about how I started shit between her and Neil because they were fighting over text all night after we left. I said their fight is their business. He shouldn't have brought her and expected other people to look after her. He then accused me of just enjoying the drama and started on how he just wants to be able to see his friends without it being an issue. I told him he was the one who made it an issue and stated, for what has been the billionth time, that just because he wants to go out doesn't mean I need to be there, and that he has to stop using me as an excuse for why he's not going out or not enjoying himself, because I've literally never asked him to stay home when he's wanted to go out. He said that going out with huge groups of people is a big part of his life and he's not going to give it up. I told him he doesn't have to give it up. I don't expect him to, but I'm not comfortable with joining him, and it should be okay for me to enjoy a night to myself while he goes out with his friends. And then he asked what the point of being together is if I don't want to be a part of his life. I told him I don't know anymore, that I did want to be a part of his life, but that life doesn't have to be either or, and he's the one who keeps excluding me from it when I don't act exactly like he wants me to. I reiterated that I would like to know his friends in a closer, more relaxed setting, and that I'd be okay working up to bigger situations. But at the end of the day, I'm an introvert and I'm never going to get the same rush that he does when we go out with a massive group. He kept bringing it around to the fact that he stays home for me and that I need to reciprocate. I said again that I'm willing to compromise and work up to going on bigger outings. He said that isn't good enough. Finally, I said, I'm sorry that things aren't good enough if they don't go exactly your way, but my thoughts and feelings and experiences are just as valid as yours. I've tried to compromise and be reasonable. I've tried to give you everything I can. But if we're a year in and it's not good enough and you don't feel like I'm a part of your life, maybe it's just not meant to be. And he got really cold and said, wow, that's how it's going to be. What the fuck ever, you're not worth it. I'm done. And he left. So I guess that's that then. TLDR, boyfriend is a child. I can and will do better. Edit. This blew up overnight, and thank you to everyone who is commenting in support of me. It's really helpful to feel like I made the right choices. This morning I woke up to a bunch of texts from him trying to convince me I handled things badly, and I admit he almost succeeded. But reading all your responses has helped me to see that this isn't the first time I've tried to compromise and been met with a brick wall. If it's his way or the highway, I'd rather take the highway. Someone said to OP on the back of this, wow, I feel bad for Neil's girlfriend. I'm glad in the days before I was legal to drink, my 21 plus friends were mindful of the fact that I couldn't go to bars. Regardless, congrats for losing the dead weight. Remember to block him on everything. OP says, I felt really bad for her too. When my ex-boyfriend, that's weird to write, was like, you should just have come inside anyway. I was like, are you kidding me? Like this girl came out expecting to have fun and gets ditched by everyone because she's too young to be there. That's why I stayed outside with her and gave her a ride home. She didn't deserve any of it. Thanks. It kind of sucks right now. I hate how it ended, but it's better than letting it continue on like this. When told to expect texts or contact from the ex, OP said, yeah, I woke up to a bunch of texts from him telling me how sorry he is that we fought and that it's my fault for not being more understanding. The I'm sorry's almost got me, but the my fault put the brakes on. Absolutely, he carried on with his manipulative bullshit right to the end, and I really do hope that OP did and does stay away from him in the future. But there was also a lot of comments talking about the predatory behavior of like the 17-year-old girl being there in the first place and the group just being cool about her being there as well, which was pretty terrifying at the same time, and hopefully that girl got away from that Neil guy too. But what do you guys make of this situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. Just a huge thank you for being here today, getting involved in the stories, your love, your support, your time. It always means the absolute world to me. So thank you so much for being here. Truly is absolutely amazing. And hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Take care and much love.